Okay, let's just jump right in with a pretty wild idea. What if I told you that the single most powerful institution, the one that really runs your life, isn't your government or your job or your school, but it's the one right between your ears? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
So let me ask you this directly. When you think about the systems that control your life, what's the first thing that pops into your head? What really has the most say over what you do day in and day out?
I'm willing to bet you're thinking of all the big external stuff, right? Like your school, your boss, the government, maybe even just society's expectations. And look, you're not wrong. Those things are definitely powerful. But they aren't the source.
Think about it for a second. Before any government was formed, before any school was built, someone had to think of it. It had to be imagined, designed, and built inside a human mind. Every single system we live under, every single one, started as an idea. The blueprint for all of it came from right here, between our ears.
All right, so if the mind is the source, what does that actually mean? Calling it an institution sounds a little formal, maybe. So let's really break this metaphor down. How exactly is your mind like its own little internal government?
Well, what is an institution really? It's not about bricks and mortar, right? It's a system. A system that shapes how we act, that sets rules, that creates results, and that basically trains us over time. And when you put it like that, that sounds exactly like what our minds do. And here's the kicker. Your mind is the first one to do all this. It's the original. It is the primary institution in your life, period. Long before a teacher, a boss, or a law ever told you how to behave, your mind had already set up its own government, its own set of rules.
I mean, just think about it, right? Your mind has its own laws. That's your personal code of ethics. It has its own curriculum. That's whatever you choose to pay attention to and learn about. It's got a whole governance system for making decisions, and it absolutely has its own culture. That's your unique mix of habits and values.
Okay, I get it. This might all sound a bit abstract, a bit out there. So let's bring it down to earth with a super intense, real-world example. We're going to look at India's civil service exams, the UPSC. They are notoriously difficult, and they're the perfect case study for why this internal institution idea matters so much.
So just picture this scene. You've got thousands upon thousands of people all studying for the same test. They're using the exact same books, they have the same teachers, the same syllabus, every external resource is identical. And yet, the results are wildly different. So what gives?
It's not about who's smartest. It's not about raw IQ. The real difference maker is the quality of their mental institution. It all comes down to how well run, how disciplined, and how resilient that little government inside their head truly is. And this is where you can really see it in action. If you've got a weak mental institution, what do you get? Inconsistency, fear of failure, anxiety. You're always needing someone else to motivate you. But a strong one? Oh, that's a different story. That produces real self-discipline, emotional control, and that deep internal fire that just doesn't quit, no matter how tough things get.
Okay, so if the quality of our mind institution is that important, the next logical question is, how do we build a better one? Well, turns out there's a blueprint for that, and it's built on 5 key pillars.
Here they are. First, self-awareness. You got to know what's going on inside. Second, self-honesty. That's about seeing things as they really are, no excuses. Third, emotional regulation, key for staying cool under pressure. Fourth, reasonableness, making balanced calls. And finally, the big one, meaning and purpose. That's the fuel for the whole engine. And this quote just nails that third pillar, doesn't it? UPSC tests temperament more than memory. It's so true for everything in life, not just exams. In any high-stakes moment, your temperament, how you handle your emotions, is almost always more important than what you know.
But, of course, we don't live in a bubble, right? We're out in the world. So what happens when your internal rules, your personal government's laws, smash right up against the rules of the outside world? It really forces you to ask a tough question. Who's actually in charge here? When what you believe clashes with what society expects, who wins that battle? Who's really running your life? And here's the danger, what we can call an institutional takeover. You've got all these external forces, media, culture, you name it, and they're constantly trying to colonize your mind, to install their software onto your hardware. If your internal government isn't strong, you can easily lose yourself and just become what everyone else wants you to be. That's why you have to do your own constitutional review. You have to be the gatekeeper for what beliefs you let in.
But here's the most important part of this whole thing. You aren't just a passive citizen living under this internal government. You're the architect. You're the founder. And that means you have the power to change it. So, let's get into the toolkit.
You can literally amend your mental constitution. Step 1, audit your core beliefs. Take a hard look at them and ask, are these actually helping me? Then find the ones that are holding you back and actively change them. Update your curriculum. Be super intentional about what you read, watch, and listen to. And put some checks and balances in place, like mindfulness or critical thinking, to keep things on track.
Look, a government like this needs regular upkeep. It's not a set-it-and-forget-it kind of deal. But a simple daily routine can be a game changer. Maybe you start your morning with a quick State of the Institution review. Just check in with yourself. Make those belief audits a regular thing. And always, always be developing your curriculum. Keep learning.
I love this next quote because it just perfectly sums up this whole idea. You are born as a sovereign nation of one, with your mind as its first and most important institution. I mean, how powerful is that? You are your own nation. You are in charge.
And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. We spend so much energy trying to change things on the outside, our jobs, our society, the world. But the real work, the most powerful and permanent change, always starts on the inside. You have to reform your own institution first.
So, I'll leave you with one final question to think about. If you are the leader, the architect of this nation of one, what's the very first law you're going to write for your mind?